If you guys want some coins for the new Fut Fantasy promo, please check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code REMET, you can get yourself 5% off your order. This supports the channel greatly. So what's up guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, I've got some custom tactics and player instructions for one of the best wider formations in FIFA 23. This is the 4-3-3 fourth variation, couldn't really speak there. But yeah, the 4-3-3 is actually very underrated as a whole, no matter which variation you're using, but my favourite version is the 4-3-3-4, which is what we're going to be covering today. But just before we get into today's video guys, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, as that does really help me out with the YouTube search algorithm. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. Okay guys, so starting off with the defensive style, I like to have this on balance. This is the same for every formation I use, and the reason we do this is because it gives you the greatest control over your defense. This means you're able to press when you need to press, and you're able to drop off and be more conservative when you need to be, so balance is definitely the way to go in my opinion. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, I like to have this on 45. This is so we can primarily defend in a more narrow shape. This is super important in this game because it's important to cover those central areas, because that's where the goal is if you think about it like that. But at the same time, with this width, we're also able to cover those wider areas, so when somebody does try and go down the wing, we're also able to cover that space too. Now moving on to the depth guys, I have this on 60 with this formation. The reason I have this on 60 is so our defensive line isn't too deep to the point where we're getting pinned back, but at the same time it's not ridiculously high where we're always getting caught out and we're getting through balled. So 60 has been a good balance in this formation. This is up to preference though. Like if you feel a bit more comfortable having a lower depth, that is fine, and similarly if you want to have it above 60, that's also fine, but I just have this on 60 for some sort of middle ground. Now moving on to build up play guys, I do suggest using balanced. The reason we use balanced is because it is the most suited for all of the types of gameplay you will experience in FIFA 23. What I mean by this is gameplay is very inconsistent, so sometimes you might have faster gameplay, other times you might have slower gameplay. It all depends on what the servers and the game is functioning like. Fast build-up's very good when the gameplay is fast, but often it isn't, so balanced is the way to go as it is the most suited for all the different types. Now moving on to chance creation guys, I do suggest you use direct passing. This is because it is the most meta in FIFA 23. The reason for this is your attacking players bunch up against the defensive players, so you're able to do like these really overpowered isolation plays. It also gives you really good movement, so you can get off the crucial extra pass, which is not present in other tactics. Not everybody likes direct passing however, so the next best option I believe to be is forward runs. Now this makes your players like push further into the box. It's like quite aggressive to be honest with you. You're looking for that forward pass all the time basically, but the problem with this I think is when you lose the ball you do get counter attacked quite easily, and I do think direct passing is better anyway, so that is down to preference, but I do think direct passing is better. Now moving on to the attacking width, I actually just leave this on default on 50. The reason I do this is because although the 4-3-3 is a wider formation, I don't want it to be super wide to the point where it's very difficult to string passes together, and at the same time I don't want it to be narrow because I might as well just use a 4-3-2-1. So I just have this on 50, so we've kind of like got a good middle ground of a narrow and wide attack, and it just makes your players sit in much more balanced positions. Moving on to players in box, I have this on 6, so I can get some players into the box to create chances, but at the same time I don't overcommit my entire team to the point where we get counter attacked. As for corners and free kicks, I have these both on 1 because of the corner kick routine that I use. There is a link to that in the top right hand corner of the screen. Now, moving on to the players you want to use, guys, in the striker position, because this is a one striker formation, I do suggest you use more of a well-rounded striker. This is because you have to compensate for the fact that there is one striker instead of two. So where you could get the balance between two players, you have to get it all in one. So for example, you might have had like Haaland and let's say Ben Yedder. Haaland's like the more finisher, clunky striker. Ben Yedder's the more technical player. You don't really have that freedom in the 4-3-3. So it's important to go for a player which is nice and well-rounded and can do a bit of everything. If you can get it like a 5-star weak foot, super useful. But yeah, you can pretty much use whoever you want, of course, but I do suggest a more well-rounded player. As for the left winger and the right winger, you're going to want to use faster players with good skills, dribbling, that are able to cross, shoot, pass, basically really good wingers in this game. You guys should know the types of players you're looking for here. As for the cam, you're going to want to use a nice technical player. This is somebody that is agile, so you can turn and really work the areas. You also want them to have decent passing, shooting ability, otherwise they're going to be pretty useless in that cam role. So just go for a really good cam in that area. As for the two centre mids, I like to go for a balance between the two, where I have Jorginho, who is a more defensive midfielder. This is somebody that's going to bring the defensive solidarity that we need to our midfield. And then we've got Paul Pogba, who is more of a box-to-box midfielder. This is somebody that can attack and defend. So we've got a nice balanced midfield here. And I do suggest you guys do that because it does make the experience a lot better. As for the left back and the right back, I like to have a bit of a balance between the two, where Roberto Carlos is a bit more technical. He's got a really good shooting ability, for example. He's a bit better on the ball. And then we've got Cafu, who's a bit better defensively. So that's just something I like to do, where I have a bit of a dynamic between the two fullbacks. As for the centre-backs and the goalkeeper, these just need to be as good as you can get them. There's not really too much to say there. Now, moving on to player instructions, guys. On the striker, we have stay central, and then we leave everything else alone. We have him on stay central because we don't want him to be in those wider areas. We only have one striker, so we need him to be in the correct positions. If we have him like covering the wings, for example, there might not be somebody in the striker position, which is where this guy should be. So stay central, very important. I have him on mixed attack because I think it's better for build-up play, where they get more involved. If you have them on getting behind, they always feel a little bit disconnected from the rest of the attack, and it makes you very one-dimensional because you're always looking for those through balls instead of really building up the play, which is important against a good opponent. As for the wingers, I have them on come back on defense and get into the box across. The reason we do this is get into the box across means they will get more involved when we are attacking. So if we end up in the penalty area with, let's say, Robbie Keane, if we have them on balanced crossing runs, sometimes they might just sit passively outside the box and not really contribute anything. But when you put them on get into the box across, it means they're always going to make those runs to get more involved. So you have more options in the box. Doesn't mean you have to cross the ball to them, just means they will make that initial movement. We also have them on comeback on defense, so we can almost have like a 4-4-1-1 at times, if that makes sense. So they sit in more natural positions when we are defending and makes us a little bit more defensively solid. It's also a good move for build-up play because when we win the ball back, they're going to be closer to the rest of the team, which they wouldn't be if we had them on basic defensive support. So that is why we do that, but it's a preference thing. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. As for the cam, I just completely leave him alone because I don't really see the point in restricting this player. I want him to do a bit of everything, so I don't really touch him. I give him more of a free role in this team. Now for both centre mids, I actually just leave them on default settings, and the only thing I change is cover centre. This is so they're covering the central areas. The reason I have them both on default settings is because I kind of let their work rates carry their instructions a little bit, if that makes sense. So for example, Jorginho is a medium-high player, so even though we've got him on balanced attack, he's going to be a bit more defensive minded than attacking minded. And Pogba likewise, even though he's on balanced attack, that high medium work rate means he's going to be a bit more attacking minded. So I kind of let the work rates choose what these players do. That being said, if you do want to put one of them on stay back, for example, the more defensive player, that's also fine. But honestly, when you've got decent work rates, I don't really think you need to be honest with you. As for both fullbacks, I have them on stay back while attacking. This is because this formation's already wide, of course, and I mainly use fullbacks to add extra width to the attack. In a formation like the 4-3-3, we don't really need to do that because we've already got two wide players. So it's better to just keep them back so you have better defensive support. But yeah, if you guys want to put one player on, let's say, balanced attack and overlap, you can do that, but I don't really see the point in this formation. As for the centre-backs and the keeper, I just leave them on default settings. I don't really see the point in changing them. But yeah, guys, they're my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-3-3 fourth variation. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you're notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.